survival mode. You know, so being in survival mode automatically rules out a lot of things because you don't care about morality, because you don't experience morality. You experience, you know, the need to survive. You don't experience, you know, fairness. You don't experience planning for the future. You just experience my ribs touching. You know what I mean? And it's better me than you. And, you know, it's a survival instinct that kick in. So I think once you get out of the survival mode, your morals come back closer to your daily decision making. You start thinking about what's right and what do I believe in. But until you get out of survival mode, you ain't got time to be worrying about right and wrong. You worrying about bottom line. You know what I mean? By any means necessary. So I think that economics is the answer. Empowering people economically is how you really impact. But I don't know if it's about dropping a bag of money in the hood. I think it's about impacting culture in a way that, you know, the mentality changes. And then also, you know, the institutions that exist, it's just a prison institution, really. It's like a pipeline to jail. It ain't no constructive institutions for real that meets you ground level. It's just like if you fuck up, we got somewhere to put you. So it's like a fear-based preventative approach than like some love. And like we know y'all going through a struggle, and we know y'all could use an art center or you know what I mean, a studio compound or entrepreneurial space. It's like whatever going on, if you can't figure it out, we gonna lock you up, bro. So whatever it is, yeah, it's on y'all. I think like you get people out of survival mode, they start thinking different. I did, you know, when I figured out, you know, how to get myself out of the situation, my approach to life and people was different. I wasn't so angry. I didn't have my guard up. I wasn't so aggressive. I wasn't so, you know, expecting, if you ain't helping me, fuck you. That wasn't the mentality no more. And I can't blame nobody, you know what I mean, that's thinking about how they gonna pay their rent, or like going through not having food at the house, being young and having to go outside to hustle to feed themselves for school clothes. That's gonna change people. That's gonna make you feel away, and you can't fault them. You just gotta kind of empathize with the scenario and understand. You put a person in survival mode, they're gonna survive by any means. I couldn't make a blanket statement to just the young people doing dirt. I don't think that's honest. You know what I mean? It's context for everything. Nothing happens in a vacuum, you know? But I would say that, you know what I mean, you're gonna lay in the bed you make. You're not gonna get away with nothing in terms of the energy. You know what I mean? You might beat the camera or the police. They might not catch you for what you're doing, but the energy is always gonna return to you. So when you just living in this cycle of being negative all day and just putting out negativity, and that's the only energy you putting out, it's gonna return to you in different form than you put it out in. So I would just say, you know, master your energy. Do your best to master your energy and what you put out, you know, and unless that's what you want, you know, because you entitled to whatever you want to create, whatever experience you want to create for yourself. But if you're tired of that shit, adjust the energy. You know what I mean? As best you can. Adjust what you wake up thinking and what you say. And then, lastly, what you do. And that's not an easy thing to do because it's such a pressure in these areas to just go by the way things are. But, you know, it's a lot of examples that you could look up to as young kids in the streets. You could look up to Kendrick Lamar. Not the words, forget what he's saying, just where he came from. I seen him, you could YouTube him freestyling in the Nicholson Garden Projects. You could look up to a NiPSEY HUSSLE. You know, you could look up to a YG, you know what I mean, to a Top Dog, you know what I mean, to any one of these guys that came from this hopelessness and you know, wiggled their way through it. You know what I mean? And you could reverse engineer what they did. You know, look at the steps, what happened. You know, so I would say that. You're in a great position if you got successful mentors that you can get direct advice from. And I've been privileged to be able to get advice from a lot of successful people like Puff, or like a Rick Ross, you know what I mean, or a T.I., you know what I'm saying, or just anybody that has come before me in the game, Snoop, and offered me, you know what I mean, some inside advice, but then it's a lot of people that I don't know personally that I draw from they blueprint as well, and just, you know, watch their interviews and read up on their story. I recently met Jermaine Dupri, like really had a convo with him, and that's somebody I used to always study on, because I remember realizing he's a producer, he's a writer, he write raps and songs, he owns his own label, he's an executive, he's an artist himself that's successful and Grammy winning and, you know, the whole nine. So I was just like, dang, you know, he got a great understanding. And so I just done a lot of studying and research on him. But yeah, man, just, I think it's vital to pattern yourself after success. Don't copy, but, you know, identify the moves that really impacted these people's trajectory. And, you know, you can import some of those things. Ross told me something real. He was like, you know, you measure your success by how many people you bless. And I'd never heard that before. And then he also said another convo was like, you know, I don't want $1 more than what's mine, or $1 less. And that's how I deal with all my artists. That's what he was saying. I don't want a penny more than what's mine. You pay me, you know, $1.1 million, and my cut is $1 million, I'm gonna leave $1 on the table. But I ain't taking 999,000 either. I need that extra $1,000. I need all mine, and I don't want a penny more, a penny less. And I took that and deposited that into my perspective, you know what I mean, about everything. I don't want nothing I ain't entitled to, but I want everything that's mine though, all of it. The inner city co-work space and incubator is called Vector 90. They got a detail right up online, just vector90.com. But in a nutshell, it's a space for entrepreneurs from the inner city to, you know, have an office and be able to, you know, have an upscale presentation for their meetings, and, you know, when they interview employees, or, you know, just want to bring investors in to possibly, you know, invest in what they're doing, or even just to create a synergy between like-minded people locally, to not have to drive to Beverly Hills or go 30 minutes from where you live, to be able to have a, you know, a curated space, high-speed internet, trademark lawyers that, you know, come through on rotation, and also have access to capital. Because Dave Gross was my partner, myself, you know, every year we're gonna pick one of the entrepreneurs and we're gonna do they round A seeding and investment into their companies. So I think it's just a unique idea that we already got 8 entrepreneurs renting the spaces out upstairs. The bottom level is gonna double as a STEM center that we developing as we speak. You know, it's just the big picture goal is to help bridge the gap between, you know, the inner cities and, number one, Silicon Valley, number two, just the entrepreneurial space, by offering resources locally so that you don't have to, number one, compete against all of the other similar, I guess, people in different areas. You know what I mean? You got something that's tailor-made to your environment, that's you right around the corner from, you getting priority because you from this community. And number two, elevate the experience of the area, to where when you over here, you know, you got the Marathon store, which you might feel like you on Fairfax or you on Rodeo when you walk in there. And now when you go to Vector 90, which is on 62nd and Gramercy, about 10 minutes from the store, you know, you go in there and it's, you know what I mean, marble tables and glass installations. It's almost like an art gallery, you know, and it's just something to inspire hometown pride, and also, you know, meet the entrepreneurs with great ideas closer to where they naturally exist, you know. Yeah, no, we definitely got multiple businesses. I always thought of hip hop as a foot in the door to business on your own terms. So the goal was always to create, you know, an ecosystem around the music. So, you know, we got